So, Nocturne HD is coming and you're wondering if you should buy it or not. Doesn't matter if you're already a fan of the series or somebody who just googled Persona but with edgy pizzazz. I see that, I hear that, and I'm here for that. I'm just gonna mention it right off the bat. I absolutely love Nocturne. It's like one of the best RPGs I've ever played. The story, the atmosphere, how memorable it is, everything is a chef's kiss. So I instantly should love Nocturne HD Remaster, right? I thought so too, but my lord, this masterpiece just deserved better, and just because I'm a huge Megami fan and I like Atlus, it's not like we should just give them a pass on their bullshit practices. I'm going to list and explain every wrong part about it and list my reasons why you should still spend your money on the remaster. Now, the very brief summary of the game for all you people with attention span of a goldfish. It's a turn-based RPG when you run around a post-apocalyptic world as a boy that looks like he ate a glow stick, collects deities like Pokemon, but instead of throwing your balls at them, you sweet-talk and bribe them with bread or blood while being alone for most of the time, just absorbing the sheer ambience of the situation you're in. On top of that, it's not a cakewalk. When I say that this game can be hard, I mean it. Combine it with heavy, darker story that makes it so much different from the RPG trope of you're a good boy from a good boy village, go save the world, now. So far, the only way to play the game was on PS2, PS3, or a slightly frisky way emulating it on your PC. No, I take that back. Now that we are caught up with the general gist of it, you may ask me what's so terribly wrong with this remaster Meritum.
But that's so much.
Oh, but it's worth it. Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne would never take advantage of our innate gullibility.
First of all, a major thing is performance issues. Yes, for a game that came out in 2003 originally, it has performance issues. They have been working on patches, and as it currently stands, the game is in a better state than it was on a release date. Still, the lag is there, especially during Fiend's fights. Look at that, if I focus for a second, I can literally count the frames. It's definitely not unplayable, and the redeeming factor is that most of the lag that's in the game doesn't happen constantly. The bottom line is that it's a HD remaster of a PS2 game. This shouldn't even be a thing to begin with. From what I know, the most severe problems are on Nintendo Switch version of the game. Listen, if Witcher, Doom, or if we just stick to remasters, Xenoblade Chronicles 1 could do it, Nocturne should be released properly too. Especially that they made it in a way that the game is perma-capped at 30 FPS, because that's how it was designed originally. It's not a goddamn indie company that's behind it, that has a budget of 2 Dogecoins. It's Atlus we're talking about. Which brings me to another point, and it's legitimately the most upsetting one. $50. $50 for a PS2 game. And it's not all, because why would we even stop there, am I right? It is also the absolute premium quality mark of paid DLCs. Forget about that featuring Dante from Devil May Cry sticker. It's now a DLC sticker. It's worth $10. Don't get me wrong, I know that they have to pay their royalties for having Dante included, but come on. If it was like $30 and purchasable DLCs, or $50 without the need to purchase any of the DLCs, I would be honestly on board with everything. I know that it's totally optional to buy DLCs and yada yada, but if it was included free of charge in the original game, why can't it be like that now? While I'm on the topic of DLCs, they could just literally be called, "Do you absolutely hate having money?" Well, not anymore. We at Atlus HQ love your money, especially if it comes easy. One DLC is like for $7 that adds 2 maps, which are essentially free XP or free money maps. The other one is basically adding Dante by replacing Raida for $10, that I repeat, was in the original game initially. And also a music pack that adds more SMT background music for another $8. There is a free DLC adding Merciful mode, which is basically a video game journalist mode. I think it's pointless because the game was fun because it was hard, and you feel accomplishment whenever you beat a certain thing when you feel you shouldn't have. I'm not saying that every game should crush your balls every time you take a step, but you don't have to start on hard. Normal is literally fine to start for anybody that reads skill descriptions. And yes, you may die from bullshit reasons that may seem unfair, but at least you won't be bored after like 5 hours of actual combat. The reason for including this as a DLC is also beyond me, because I doubt it has any impact on the file size. My best bet is that the Absolute Marketing Chads thought that this will make you look at the other DLCs while you're at it. The background music DLC is at least understandable, because it doesn't have any impact on anything besides if you're bored of SMT-free music, you can change it to something different. It's just a shame that the DLCs, even if they are present, aren't as impactful or even fun as I wish them to be. There is no additional story, there is no additional cutscenes. On top of the awful DLC practices, they also offer Deluxe Edition, with all the DLCs for $69.
Nice.
Just like they did with Persona Scrambled. This is something that I hate that's becoming a standard Atlus practice. I touched on that on my Scramble review before, so if you want to check it out, by all means. Not only it's making digital copies basically better, especially regarding the Switch version or a PS4 version, because I don't think that you can get a PC physical copy. The goddamn icing on the cake is that it comes 2 weeks after Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which is 3 games, almost all DLCs if I remember correctly, for $60. And let's think about it for a second. That's a game with an absolutely massive following, not a Megaton mainline game. This might be the most important point, because not everyone is willing to gamble $50 for a Megaton game. And that sucks. This game is still revered by the fanbase. I think that this is something that actually might hold SMT from going into the mainstream, knowing that if the price was just a bit lower, people would actually want to, essentially, gamble their money. Some of you might actually be like, I don't care if SMT is mainstream, I would much rather play one game forever. Newcomers and casuals get banned. Just let the franchise die so we can revel in nostalgia forever. Well, I do care, and you should too. If there were more people actually having the access to SMT titles, legally, with a reasonable price, I'm pretty sure the upcoming SMT5 sales would goddamn skyrocket. And you know what comes with that? More games, more budget, and more time spent on them, which will mean more variety of games with the storylines and atmosphere that's so captivating. Lastly, something that ties into the performance issues in a way, PC version also has Denuvo, and I'm not taking into the account that recently they released Persona 4 Golden and Persona 5 Strikers with Denuvo free versions. It honestly makes the game that already seems to be poorly optimized, suffering from another batch of drops due to Denuvo just being there. The last thing is a bit nitpicky, but the game has uncompressed audio from the PS2 era. It doesn't seem like a big thing, but honestly, mainly relies on heavy music to help establish the setting and the atmosphere and everything around it. If you're like, oh come on, this dude is just bitching at this point, take a listen. It's just, I don't know, it just feels lazy. I know that they probably lost their files along the way because the OST doesn't have some music that's for multiple bosses and specific encounters, but it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Now, from what you've just heard, you must think that this game is an absolute pile of shit. And dear dudes, lady dudes, and non-binary dudes, I think that it's still worth buying for newcomers and old Megaton veterans. For the newcomers, this will serve as a great entry point to the whole Megaton genre, because waiting for other Persona will take like 5 more years, if we are lucky, and not having to bother either with emulating it or finding obscure ways to play this will make it more accessible. Secondly, if you've never played this game, the story is a treat. It's so well written, the characters, everything that goes around it, it's amazing. The combat, also, while keeping the defining tropes of turn-based RPGs, gives you a press-turn system, where your turns depend on if you hit an enemy weakness point. If so, instead of losing your full turn, you lose half of it. It creates a very different dynamic from the regular turn-based RPGs that gets very repetitive. Also, the characters that you meet along the way are so well written and so memorable. Their reactions to the world that's changing right before their eyes is so fascinating. And it's only enhanced by the player's choice. You can align yourself with different viewpoints that will have drastically different impact on the ending of the story. And the best part of it? No choice comes easy. You have to weigh in your own personal morality. It's not as robust as previously mentioned Mass Effect, but it's not also a clear-cut black and white version. There's a whole lot of grey in the morality that's presented to you. And if you like deep RPG mechanics with challenging combat that requires you to understand it before eventually you'll go on trying to find solutions on a 2006 GameFAQ forums, this game is just for you. Now, for the people that know SMT as much as it pains me to say it, the incentive should be much more appealing. What would possibly motivate you to buy a game that you played? I have a multitude of reasons actually. First of all, the changes in the skill inheritance. No longer will you actually have to bother with the ancient mechanics of clicking 2 buttons to reroll the skills you actually want to transfer in fusions. Now you can just simply pick them. That doesn't sound like a big deal, but trust me, there were so many moments when you reroll the skills and it finally clicked only to change them again due to muscle memory. It's just a huge quality of life addition and I like they actually went through with it. Second of all, the improved graphics. Do you remember all those old models that looked amazing in 2003? Now prepare to see them in HD. The visual enhancements made to this game really shine. Initially they don't look like much, but when you see them put side by side, yeah, there is an amazing difference. The third point is obviously voice acting, and I think that will make a lot of people want to reconsider buying this game again. So now every single line is voiced by a professional voice actor. And the last point, which is the worst point I'm legitimately going to make, is showing Atlus that we do actually want more Megaton games. Not only it can allow more ports of the older SMT games, but overall showing that there is still interest in SMT. I don't like that. I feel like Atlus is holding a gun to my balls, holding SMT hostage, saying, "Hey pretty boy, give me some of that sweet money or you won't see your son ever again." It's boiling down to making me buy a game if I ever want to see more PC or Switch ports of older SMT titles, or even new ones. Persona 5 Strikers had pretty great sales numbers, so unless we want to have a constant flow of Persona spin-offs, Persona Cooking, Persona Bowling, or something else that only Atlus can think of in their nightmares, it has to be supported in sales. After all, Atlus is a company, and they will keep making the games that will bring the most revenue and are worth putting time and resources into. So, rather than playing just Persona spin-offs for the rest of my life, I would much rather them make SMT related stuff too. So, all in all, I think the game is totally worth buying. If you just learned about SMT, it's a terrific entry point. God, I make it sound like I'm trying to sell cigarettes to a kid. If I were to advise you on which system to buy it for, it would be between the Switch for the increased portability, or for PC, because frankly, most of the issues that the game has, the modding community will fix. But you know, you do you. I hope I persuaded enough of you to give the remaster a shot. I'm curious though, how do you guys feel about the remaster? I would love to read your comments, so post your opinions in the comments down below. Will you be buying it all, or if it's just not worth it for you? That said, I hope to see you guys in my next video. I'll be covering more SMT and Persona things in the very near future, so if you're interested in that, leave a like, subscribe, hit my balls, whatever. Peace out.